Hi. Recently, I've had the pleasure to sit down with a fellow Romanian who is leading a beautiful women's community in our country, Romania. And we sat down and talked about women's embodiment, women's empowerment, the experience of a community, spinning it off to the international level, her take on the international community, and especially the emotions that she put into her speech. I actually took a back seat and I allowed her to share from her experience, perspective, all the endeavors. Before we dive into the discussion, I want to give you a bit of background on Ina so that you understand a bit better where she comes from. Ina Curic is a gender and peace building specialist that worked internationally since 2004 with creative commitment to constructive peace inside out, from kindergarten to international politics. She is currently contributing to growing the movement on menstrual cycle awareness in Romania and embodied feminine empowerment. So with no further ado, enjoy.
Hi, Ina. It is so great to see you. We've been talking for a while to do this interview. Welcome.
Thank you.
So for those of you that are watching this, whether new or veteran subscribers of my channel, Ina is a Romanian fellow women's empowerment facilitator. That's the official name that I gave you just now, which I've met 3 years ago. And we've been talking for 3 years now about women's embodiment and women's empowerment. So Ina, first of all, what has been the journey for you that you brought to just Romania for now? And then we'll talk about the rest of the world.
Okay, thank you for having me, darling. And I think this is a good opportunity to go a little bit on the big picture and small picture, and also put Romania on the map, because who is this? Ina Curic. I just put myself on the screen with Luna Rossa coordinator, because right now this is the opportunity that we're opening up in English for, is to bring out this beauty, which is the agenda number 4 we produced in Romania with women collaborators and artists, to open it up as a peace manifesto to English-speaking world. That's why we're talking. And next week, we celebrate the International Day of Peace. So we opened up a round of dialogues on these topics, because when you ask what's happening in Romania, what's happening internationally, I've also worked in several post-war zones, and then coming back to Romania to bring what I've learned internationally in a way, and to integrate more and more of not just my work, which was on peace and conflict issues and gender issues, but bring more of the emotional and spiritual side in. This was my journey. And to me, that's what felt complete. As a sociologist and a peace and conflict worker and gender trainer, who I've seen many different contexts where I've done a lot of trainings and working on gender equity, women's empowerment, gender-based violence, to reach Dominican Republic. I'm going to share very shortly how I got to integrate this emotional and spiritual side in my work. I was working there with a UN agency that was working in capacity building and research for the advancement of women. Mm-hmm. And my colleagues that were local, besides doing their university teachings, workshops, social activism work during the day, in the nighttime, they were coming together and they were doing moon ceremonies, Reiki healing sessions, all sorts of alternative therapies, and looking into, okay, it's obvious that we co-create the social reality that's out there. And it's not enough just to fight against it from this fight mindset, but to understand how we contribute to it, how we do work outside depends on what we have inside, that the political and the bedroom are connected, you know? So this for me felt very wholesome in a way. So coming back to Romania after almost 10 years of being abroad internationally in different post-war and development contexts, where I've seen a lot of different models, a lot of different realities. And also I realized that there is no such thing as a global anything. There are a lot of local flavors to movements that do have inspiration internationally. like women's movements, like right now when we're talking red things and women things, red tent movement. I think every single local context has not only its peculiarities, but also its wisdom, its knowledge to share. And now coming out from this little country, Romania, who has heard of Romania? It doesn't matter who's Ina Curic. I'm not even identifying myself as the anything behind Luna Rossa, except coordinator of a very beautiful collective project. And the whole point of it is to bring something that we unearthed here. It's very special. We have in Romania and Ukraine, who is a hot war zone right now, because we don't know how to solve conflicts on this planet still. That says something about us. But on these territories, we have a very old, the oldest great documented civilization of the goddess, which had amazing art, widespread over a large territory. And the special thing connected to peace and today is that this great civilization did not have weapons. And somehow they managed to build two-story houses, to have amazing art, to do cultural exchanges over a very vast territory without solving their conflicts through war. Mm-hmm. And the reason I brought this, and this was the theme for this beauty this year, only Cucuteni Tripoli art, was that I think we need inspiration to be able to tap into and to imagine creatively what other things are possible, because we have grown so accustomed to the culture of domination. If it's not patriarchy, then now women are going to take too much power, because we can't think that we actually can work in partnership between women and men, with nature, with our children, with any life form on this planet, if we go back to seeing the unity in the web of life in each of our role in it. Mm-hmm. So powerful, this is a little bit of the big and small picture.
Mm-hmm. The essence, I would call it, of what Luna Rossa is, in a sense, right? So collaborating from a place of empowerment with other life forms in their empowerment. Essentially, you have to recognize the powers in others. If you have it in you, you recognize in others. If you don't recognize in others, right? So what was, like, you came after 10 years of working in post-war zones. What did you find in a country that hasn't had war for some time, 30 years at least? What did you find here in terms of building a women's community around this idea of practice, women's embodiment, women's stories?
I would link again with the fact that we didn't have war, but we still have lots of trauma, inherited, transgenerational, embodied in us all over the world. Maybe this is the signature maybe of planet Earth, where there's very high density, maybe. But concretely, if we still hold on to a vision that peace is possible, and I know in my field we are called realists with a heart. That's what we call the peace builders. It's like the doves. When the hawks say no, women and men and human beings on this planet have violence written in their DNA. So peace is not really possible. So you can do all your, a flower power hippie thing, and nothing is going to change. Then we come in as specialists in one of the newest fields. It only has 50 plus years, peace building as a discipline of study, as a field of intervention, to say, actually, it is possible to have peace. If we exercise our imagination muscles a little bit more, if we exercise and open our hearts to not being numbed, feeling numbed completely, to shut down our sensitivity and our creativity to what other things are possible, then we could each do something to contribute from our subconscious to the big collective subconscious and to this big playground that keeps perpetuating all sorts of types of violence. And if we come down to what does it mean in our bodies, where to even start? My colleagues in the field are saying, okay, what's the link between menstruation and peace? Here I am. We're going to get to the bloody part.
Okay.
And I say, what is the one thing we could do if we look at, I'm not a big player, and all of us get numbed in a way in our small context that I can't influence what's happening at the international level. But there is a Tibetan myth that says if there are 1,000 awakened goddesses, they could shift the vibration from one of fear to one of love in this planet. Just 1,000, you know?
Yeah.
So if we call this the yeast, the wild yeast that could grow a big mass of flower, to me, this is why I keep hope that every of our droplets in this big ocean of work for a big, beautiful vision matters. So Luna Rossa is such a little droplet. And back to why I brought these things in Romania, I said I've been an activist for many years. I've worked in many different contexts. I felt like the typical definition of a rebel. Give me a cause where there's not enough peace and fairness and justice, and I'm going to take it on board, because this sense of equity and fairness and justice, even the monkeys have it. Okay? So even if the monkeys have it, how do we manage as people to shut it down so much as to say, oh, I can't do anything about it. This is how things work in the world. I can. So now back to what can I do and what can each of us do? See, I'm in the middle of a campaign to birth this baby in English. So it feels a little bit intense, right? And emotional.
Absolutely.
I feel like I'm not going to cry in this life, but I feel like
it's okay. You can cry.
tears are welling up. Because you're asking me gets me to the essence of why I bother, right? To the essence of my work. Why do I spend time, nights, creativity to put this work into the world? Is because I believe it can have an impact. So if at least 1,000 of us manage to bring another type of awareness in everything we do, how would the world look like, Liana? You tell me.
Yeah.
And I mean integral awareness, like integral education, not only about one issue. Oh, I'm talking about food, or I'm talking about health, or I mean integral thinking, just like in education, you know, where we say we are bodies, not just with big heads. We have a body and a heart and reason and emotion. And when you start to think critically of I am a small piece of puzzle in this world, and the puzzle I'm contributing to can be one of love and support and harmony and playfulness and cooperation. Then I am responsible to educate my kids, to re-educate myself
First, yeah.
to this beautiful mindset and heart set that would allow for more of these things that we really want in our lives. We want for our kids and we want for ourselves to become real and possible. So that's my motivation to keep working for peace. Ooh, tell me I'm an idealist and this is not possible. I'm gonna invite you to come and bury again this goddess on earth
No, I'm not gonna tell you.
next week. If it's not the birth, then it has to be the burial. So please come.
Oh. So I want to say, first of all, that I'm one of the 6 women that are already members of your community. So we have 6,000 Romanian women in Romania, which is a small country. I mean, it's not the world. So we've got like 17 million people. I think the 1,000 goddesses that were given as a number for the entire planet, well, we got more women here in just a small country. We don't speak English there, that's why the project is now taken internationally. But I've seen progress, I've seen sharing. I've also seen women showing up and having the courage to open up about their wounds. Wounds in relation to their families, wounds in relation to their motherhood, maybe, wounds in relation just to their body, their reproductive organs, wounds in relation to their beloved men. So all kinds of things. And then I've seen women showing up, holding space, offering advice where possible, offering a recommendation to an expert where possible. So I don't think you're an idealist. Like, that community already exists in our country. I'm there also. Every time somebody asks something, if I have something to share, I'll share it. If I don't, like, I'll give an example now, which was the funniest answer that I ever gave there. Somebody asked, a woman asked about what it means if you're menstruating on a new moon or if your menstruation comes on a full moon. And I answered, like, there were other answers that were explaining from transgenerational perspective, culturally, what was known and said about having your moon blood coming on a new moon versus on a full moon. And my answer was, sister, I don't know, because for some years now, my menstruation comes in between the phases. What do I know? I don't know what that means. So there's also vulnerability and fun in that. So we relate from all perspectives there. So I don't think that's idealism. And every time somebody shares something really vulnerable about their bodies and other women criticize, I've seen others showing up and saying, wait a second, we're
Yes.
people, we're not the same. Let's start to support one another here. I mean, among us women, we should do that.
We have guardians of space. How beautiful
there.
is that?
Yeah. So
let's share. Then I would share a little bit about Sorku Luna, which is to translate it's a pun. It's a play of words between sisters and sons in Romania with the moon. So it could be sisters with the moon, or it could be sons and moons. And this links to this, secret love story we are mapping inside ourselves. What I honestly think that if the mystics are right to say that the source of all wars and destruction outside is the constant war we have inside, if they are right, then it's a love story that we need to each really tune into and tend to in ourselves. So our group in Romania has had a very beautiful journey, and I think this would be valuable to share very briefly because there are hundreds and hundreds of Facebook groups out there. And now that I went out internationally to see what's out there in terms of sisterhood, there are tens of groups just with the sisterhood name. And my whole point with Luna Rossa, sisterhood, that was my first invitation with the collective. I was writing to lots of women educators in this field, all sorts of tangential fields of work to what is women's embodiment and empowerment and cycles awareness. And I was telling them this is an opportunity to birth something together. And just as I wrote to the first who subscribed to our event, I said, I could have done the fourth edition of the Moon Agenda in Romania, I could have done alone. It's more difficult to coordinate 20 women, artists, designers, coordinator, than just to do proper research as an author and just, put good references and bibliography and keep it simple and impactful, okay? It is more difficult to coordinate a bigger event and project like that. But that's the whole point of it. Okay, the reason I created my author platform, Imagine Creatively with Ina Curic, is because honestly, we are counting the years with 2000, with two, and it's the age of collaboration. It's not the age of lone wolves, brilliant minds out there. It's the genius we can bring in as a community together. And plus, it's more fun. So you inflate the ego balloon. Here you are. I've done this. I was asking women in Romania, specialists in all kinds of fields, I'm tired to only promote myself and my work. If you don't want to promote me, I want to promote you. Okay, let's do, yours, I'm small too, but you're smaller than me. Let me help you because the bigger sisters out there don't even look at me. I'm that small, okay? I'm nobody on Instagram. I don't have an email list. I have an email list of clients that have already bought from me, but I don't do sales like that. I've learned all the tricks. I've studied them. I haven't applied all of them. And I'm still keen to sell a vision more important than I sell a product. So I say to all women, because we only produce about 1,500 agendas every year. And with books and everything, we've gotten to almost 9,000 in Romania, okay? And in terms of numbers, to talk numbers, we have almost 8,000 women now in our sisterhood group.
Oops, I needed to adjust my numbers.
Yeah, because I mean, how big of a sister are you? How big is your email list? How many products have you sold? How many, you're still a nobody until somebody opens up their heart to see this person has a message. And I really think the clothes are not that important and the way we wrap things in. But of course, if we want to sell and get to a wider public, we need to learn a few tricks. But for me, the intention with our sisterhood around the sun and the moon, love story inside, was to offer pretexts for practicing together. I said, as a pedagogue, as an educator, I know, you go to conferences, you read books, information goes in, goes out. Unless we create support, communities of practice, an instrument to say, hey, what did you feel in today? What's your reflection for this week? What's the practice? How is it going? Then a lot of it is just adding to noise out there, too much, too fast. So we're keeping it re-traumatizing ourselves. So the space we created was meant, and it grew very big. And I have to say now, if you ask me numbers now, Liana, and say, okay, your channel is what? 7,000. Wow, 7,000 possible people that have ever, cared enough to say, this woman is doing fabulous work. I like how, she's speaking for me too. And here I click subscribe to your channel. The dialogue we want to keep on Sori cu Luna is in Romania is so important to me as a space, as a safe space where not one woman finally dares, after 3 years of holding dialogue space, one comes in and dares to write about something that's intimate, taboo, shameful, struggling with. Then I want to have at least 3, 4, 10 women who come there and support her instead of saying, go back home, shame on you, how dare you write such a thing. Which happens all the time. And that's why we need this guardianship of space. And that's why I only call myself a sister on that circle. Yes, I initiated it. Yes, I drive the vision behind, but still I'm just a sister in the circle. And if we were to accept everybody that finds out about this group without caring to respond our filter questions, which are complex, they're not like yes and no. They're like, why do you want to come in this group? Where did you hear about it? Then our group would be at least 5 times bigger. Yeah. But why have tens and thousands of people on our email list if they never open the list? Why have tens of thousands of subscribers if they, if 2% open? So let's get back to quality and focus and back to that 1,000. If we have 1,000 true fans of anything, we could really shift entirely a vibration of one issue we're struggling with on this planet that will influence the whole collective subconscious. And I want to say something else. I have fire and passion here because it's either a birth or a death for this project, but it's a continuation for this heart of mine that will find other ways of reaching your heart, because you just invited me to create this space and reach another sister's heart. And for me, every heart I really win over, every heart of a woman that sees me as not a competition, but as a potential support, collaboration, friend, lifetime friend. I don't need, I can be out of business for my whole lifetime. And actually I have to confess that I am not out to steal anyone's small niche in business. I really believe there's enough creativity for all of us, and it is in this world, and we could create so much more things together. Yeah, but our joke in the peace building field is that we work to get ourselves out of jobs. So my mission is not to build the highest business and to go to the next level. No, my mission is to be able to say one day, I quit. There's no need to do piece work anymore. World is good. Women are fine. They're not at war with their bodies anymore. They don't kill themselves over and over again, judging over their bodies. They embrace their beauty and uniqueness and bring that as a gift to the circle. Yeah. I think that when we all as women understand that we don't work here just to get ourselves out of a job, but we work because that's what we are, and we just share from our gifts. I think that's one of the ways in which those 1,000 goddesses from Tibet would shift the consciousness of the entire world. This competitive mindset that men have it, women have it also, it's not getting anybody anywhere. So we're what we are, we share our gifts,
society appreciates them and integrates them and uses them, that's an enlightened community in my perspective, which is more grounded than people think. I'm not having these halos over our heads and saint clothes and levitating and all of that. So we're just sharing gifts and exchanging gifts, and we're seen for those gifts for the entirety of our lives. I think that's enlightened living for me. And that's what sisterhood, Luna Rossa, and Sisters with the Moon, is actually, that's what it represents to me. And that's what I've seen, the community there. Yeah, everybody's on an evolutionary path, and everybody needs to grow out of their wounds that they've inherited or that they've seen, witnessed. That's a process, and we can hold space for that. And that is what the community is all about. So that's women's empowerment for me.
And you can see it growing. So I think with each of us contributing gifts to the bigger play and game, then we advance.
So I would love to sit and chat more, but actually we promised that we would keep it short and we would come back at a later time. For now, I have 2 invites for you. First of all, tell us where we find Luna Rossa and the community.
Luna Rossa is on imaginecreatively.com. That's easy. Maybe you can include the link right now. That's my author website. And we have a campaign where we aim for 1,000 awakened women that find resonating hearts to say, wow, this sounds good. This resurrection, unearthing of the goddess through art, it's a beauty. You can discover this, why it's so special, and have lots of images from inside and what it actually brings. We are right now in the middle of a campaign for pre-orders, crowdfunding, which will decide whether this baby project will live or not. And for the entire next week, we have opened up ground for dialogues on Luna Rossa themes. Again, saying Luna Rossa, whether it's necessary to have another product, another noise out there, it's one thing. Well, it might be very beautiful to share it as a Seeds of Peace project with the world, to say, okay, we don't need to do 1 million. If we start with 1,000, that's it. But if not, if there's not enough resonance, if we don't find enough big sisters to get the message out there, because we need big international sisters. We need lots of international sisters to say, wow, this is cool. Have a look. I appreciate it. It speaks my language. I'm contributing to it. Then we still will hold the space open for dialogues. And we'll really, it's not going to be a summit with lots of talks every day, but it's going to be like a valley of sinking into one theme a day with 1 or maximum 2 speakers, and not every day. And with open questions where we're inviting women from all over the world to come and contribute from their local context, because women's circles in US are not the same as in Zambia, Africa, where I am right now. Eastern Europe doesn't look at all like Southern Europe even, and it doesn't look like Western Europe or Latin America. So if we could bring these different perspectives in, I think we'll have a very rich dialogue and more insight into this movement that we're building internationally. And it's obvious it's growing, but it has many local strands and flavors, and each one of them counts. Thank you.
And the second, because I have a second question for you. On my channel, there are also a lot of men, actually, and many of them are from the United States. Some of them are single, some of them are partnered. Is there any message that you have for them and the women that are also here? But let's start with the men, gentlemen here.
Thank you so much for opening up this question. Not just for me to link with Luna Rossa, which has the partnership in. If I find it, no, you'll find it there. It has it's actually, here is the goddess, and here is the
God.
The God, which, because it wasn't just the cult of the Great Mother, and the Great Mother wasn't dominating the men, and there was no matriarchy. No, it was love and partnership. So this is a very clear message that this cycle journal for women brings. Engage your partner, talk about these issues? How do you live your cycles in wisdom in a way that it brings sanity and harmony to your relationship, and then what you can bring to the wider context? And please put a timer for men, because if they don't listen to this from the beginning, they'll not have patience. Oh, it's just women talk. But if you say there's something for men, I would say we need to do way more appreciation for the wonderful men in our life, way less confrontational thinking and fighting over anything as equal rights. And I speak as a identified velvet feminism, an educator and an activist and gender equity trainer and all that. Is because the story is about love and partnership, really, and we need all of the perspectives in. We need men in. It's not women's empowerment without men as partners by their side means nothing. And most women around the world, that's what I've seen in women's empowerment movement in 20 years, will say no to Western discourses of women's empowerment and domination, because it looks like that. It still looks like domination and fighting. Many women who are more into their feminine energy, they don't want to fight with men. They want to live in beautiful, harmonious, loving partnerships with men. And in Romania, there are some who say, what if women don't love themselves? Because we have thousands of years of cultural brainwashing about dirt that inferiorize the body, sexuality, and all that. Then loving men partners can be a very big source of support for women to love their bodies, to love their blood, you know, to love menstruation as a couple time, not only as a time for women to withdraw, but also as a time for more connection and deeper intimacy. So yes, for men in partnership.
Okay. Great, gentlemen. I hope that reached your hearts. I will definitely mention this in the beginning so that they stay with us all the way. So Ina, this was a great talk, very energizing and very refreshing in perspectives. And I take the commitment to follow all the comments that will be shown here, or private questions, because sometimes people don't want to put their questions publicly, so they send an email. And I am pretty confident there will be a talk number 2. So around the topics here or other subjects that they're asking us about Luna Rossa, about peace building, about women's empowerment, women with men in partnership and empowering themselves together, and so on. So this will be another conversation that I'll look forward to.
Thank
you.
Otherwise,
guys, remember, and ladies, remember to check out the link below to the campaign. If you resonate, support it. Also share it with your friends. Maybe there is somebody who would enjoy an agenda with Cucuteni culture and all the inspiration that the beautiful women have brought in terms of practices, knowledge, because this is an agenda that is going to help you also work on topics. So there's a lot to discover in it. Okay.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you.
It was beautiful to see you again. And yeah, see you again also on our channel.
Let's share with our Romanian sisters.
We'll share
if we can't find 1,000 international ones, we'll just go back, bury the goddess, which is why I invited you to the village, Jill, next week and the event. 23rd of September is the equinox. So it's the day and night again. It's the life and birth. It's, you know, it's a threshold we can celebrate together. And then we come back and continue to do our work, each in our small local context, contributing beauty and something valuable to the whole.
Sure. So keep my fingers crossed and heart open for this to blossom, and see you soon. Bye.